This guy lived it. We made a film, and I pretended to do it, but everyone's applauding for, Vinny's journey and what he did.
Why don't we start by talking a little bit about the story? So, Ben, you obviously said it had been a few years since you made a film. So why this story?
Just 12.
And just 12, a decade or so. What was it about this story, and how did you find it? Because it's not necessarily one of the better-known boxing tales.
No, it's a relatively unknown story. Chad Verity, who's a producer on the film, is here tonight as a childhood friend of Vinny's, and I think tried for most of his adult life to get Vinny's story told. He and I just vibed on what that version would look like, and it kind of reflected those 10 years that I had not making films, where if in Hollywood you don't make a film for 10 years, you have a proverbial broken neck. So as soon as I dug into Vinny's story and realized how hard he had tried to come back, I had a personal connection to it, and here we are.
And it's not necessarily a boxing movie, right? Because it seems to be very much a movie about relationships, whether it's between a trainer and a boxer or actually a father and a son. And how do you consider it in those terms?
I like those terms. I've come to love boxing, but I didn't grow up as a real aficionado of the sport. I've come to learn it, to love it, but it's about these three men and their relationship, and that was definitely what I connected to. I don't think without that it would have been something for me.
Miles, talk to us about Vinny, because on the archive footage, he's certainly a character. Do you have to be careful how bombastic you actually make him to keep him within the realms of believability, maybe?
Yeah, Vinny's of that ilk of, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was the greatest fighter in his life, although Vinny in real life went to see Rocky when he was a little kid and came home, rode his bike home from that movie and told his parents that he was going to be a world champion boxer. And he did. I'm sure a lot of kids saw that and said that, but, Vinny did. As I started learning about Vinny, I think at first maybe just kind of in my own selfish way, I wanted to play a boxer. As an actor, I wanted to have the blood on my face and be in the ring and all those things. And, so that was kind of, at first, but once you start learning about this guy and his passion, his commitment, his perseverance, his dogged determination, as he says, to break your neck and to literally have every doctor telling you, this is it, it's done, you can't come back from this. I like that. Just the kind of man that Vinny was, and he was the first guy I played that I knew people could kind of look up and I guess juxtapose, what I was doing and him. But it's just all out of respect and admiration, and I think fear of failure, fear of disappointing this guy and his legacy and tarnishing that. So, but we showed the film to Vinny, and he cried when he saw it. So to me, that's everything. And to be able to bring his story, I think, to an audience and have people connect to it, that's just all because this guy lived it. We made a film, and I pretended to do it, but everyone's applauding for Vinny's journey and what he did.
And to what extent was he involved in the film? Was he kind of on board from the get-go?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with him in the writing process. His parents have passed, but his sister's still around. They are a very colorful family. Ciarán had to sort of struggle with that. You saw that last bit at the end where he says he's a born fighter. If Ciarán actually presented Anthony Pazienza as he was in real life, you probably wouldn't believe him. So instead of embellishing the story, we sort of had to pull back to make it feel realistic, because these people were like out of control caricatures of themselves almost. I say that out of admiration, but they were a really big, colorful family.
Yeah, they seem it. But he was pleased, he was happy. Did he come on set, give you any advice on specific scenes?
He came on set. Miles needed him for this one moment because no one in the history of modern medicine has ever lifted weights wearing a halo. So Miles literally needed him to show him that. But what's funny is we thought he'd be there every day. We were a little worried, he would be hovering. It's hard to play a guy who's standing there in front of you every day. But he came one day. He saw that there was like 6 hours of lighting for every 2 minutes of shooting, and he was like, forget this, I'm out of here. So he didn't come back till we asked him to after that.
Vinny sent me a letter in the mail when he knew that I was going to play him. And it was like, Vinny Paz, Cranston, Rhode Island, whatever. I open it up, and it's a signed photo of Vinny like this. And he says, Miles, put a banana in your undies if you have to make it look bigger. Do not fuck up my reputation. No joke, seriously. Much love, Paz.
Were you a bit scared of him? A little bit?
Of his reputation?
Physically,
I think
mentally.
we made Vinny proud. No, I mean, look, when Ben, I owe, all of this opportunity and everything to Ben. This was we filmed this movie almost 2 years ago. This was before, I just finished filming Whiplash. It hadn't come out. I'd never done a movie in this kind of dramatic world. I said that I was in like funny friend shape. Just kind of doing my thing, but not like, I just wasn't that guy. And when I met Ben, honestly, I thought that he was doing it just kind of as like a favor to my agent. I met him and I told him right off the bat, I was like, I haven't even seen Boiler Room, but I hear it's great. So I was like super relaxed because I honestly just did not think I was the guy that he'd be looking at to play this man. Just in terms of, just this man and this life and what this guy was able to accomplish. Yeah, I was very intimidated by it. And I'd never done the accent. I'd never, gotten in shape for a while, all that stuff. But yes, it was his legacy is very intimidating to try and, revive.
It's also interesting because what Miles ended up doing, I didn't foresee this. It wasn't in the script. You notice throughout the movie there's shots of Miles, and then I go straight to archival footage. Not the stuff at the end, but throughout the movie. I never thought I could do that. You're breaking the fourth wall, right? You can't show your actor and then show the guy your actor is based on in the same scene in the middle of a movie. Because Miles got so close to representing Vinny, I was able to do that. People sometimes don't even know that they're seeing archival footage. So that was something I discovered in the editing room. But that's what happens when you hire people like this. You get to look good.
Well, and talking about people like this, so obviously you were kind of straight from Whiplash, and obviously you two have got an incredible body of work. What was it for both of you that really drew you to this project? Aaron?
Well, I would say, Ben met with me and said, do you want to be great? And that means a lot to an actor. That means we're going to go the distance. We're going to try to make something that's worthy of your attention as an audience, as the London Film Festival. And when an actor hears that, you jump on board. And obviously, as you just said, with Miles and Ciarán, it's Katie, everybody involved in this project was blue chip, first class, and they really came through and did a great job.
Ciarán?
I was just thrilled to be asked because it was kind of very left field for me. And when I met Ben through Skype, what he said to me was like, oh, I thought you were much bigger than that. And I said, well, I was, but I'm not. And he said, well, you need to get bigger again. So I did, but I didn't do it the way Miles had to do it, which was about getting trim. I just had to eat a lot of pasta, really. But what for me was a great thrill, because for me it was a real adventure. And to meet and work with Miles and Aaron was one of the special things in my life. That's what I'd just like to say. And also I'm very emotionally touched at the minute because I've just seen the whole thing for the first time. And it was quite a ride.
And kind of speaking of that transformational element, you all, in all of your roles, all three of you went through various things, some of them worse than others. Aaron, shaved your head, gained 40 pounds.
Some women love that.
Oh. Well, you still have, nothing can take away the face, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh. So who had the worst deal out of the transformation, do you think?
I would, on my off days, I would send Miles pictures of my breakfast, which was donuts, and then he would send me pictures of his, which was what?
Like lettuce.
Well, if you're telling me it felt authentic and you're from there, then I say thank you. We had great costume designers, just as the same way you hire great actors. If you hire a great crew, And also, we're not pulling this out of a hat. This is, as you know, it's a real place. There was a lot of, there was a lot of things to pull from, video and photographs. So, and because it's such a specific culture, it's actually, I find it a little bit easier to replicate. But yeah, it was easy with all of the help that I had, frankly. The banana.
It's all right. So don't worry about it. Don't worry
As
about
I
it.
said, everything in the film, instead of embellishing, we had to go the other way, so we had to actually take it down a little bit. It was distracting as it was in real life.
Yeah.
You're welcome, buddy.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like you don't realize it until you're doing all these junkets and stuff, and people kind of bring that up. Me in my own life, I was in a very serious car crash when I was 20 years old. My buddy lost control of my car. We were going like 80 miles per hour, the speed limit, but he lost control, and we went to the grass median and flipped 8 times, and I got ejected out the window. And car stopped rolling. My buddy got out. I was laying like 50 feet from the car, unconscious, covered in blood. Less than a year after that, 2 of my best friends died in car accidents. Another buddy I grew up with not that long ago died in a car accident. So why are you laughing? You guys are weird. So I just, honestly, I think I don't know if it's part of the fabric or in the DNA of growing up in America, but pretty much everybody I know, if they haven't been in a serious car accident, somebody they know has. It's just kind of like it's an everyday tragedy that people are living, and I don't know, I think narratively it kind of gives something. In this movie, it was the most, this car accident for Vinny changed the course of his life forever, and it is kind of the most significant obstacle that he had to overcome. But yeah, it is interesting, and yeah, probably like half the films I've done, there's been like a significant car accident, so I don't know, why people are laughing, it's so weird. Oh, right. Oh, I get it, yeah. You guys have a minute? I want to talk about my feelings. Thank you.
Did that actually make it difficult to film, though? Because the car crash scene's actually really quite intense.
Yeah, even in my car accident, honestly, like it wasn't, for me, it was a very similar thing. I didn't really see it coming. Once it happened, I blacked out. I woke up in a hospital. The actual moment of it is very traumatizing for the people around you, as you see with the families when they're coming before Vinny wakes up, as you see with Rooney, and that's really traumatizing, I guess, where I could relate to it on a very personal level, which isn't the case in every character you do. But I absolutely, man, I had those years of having to go through really intense, surgeries, laser surgeries, and they use a laser, it's like tattoo removal, and you're just sitting there and you can't go outside and all these things, and it's pretty downtrodden, and you get introspective, and I could relate more to the recovery than I could to the actual incident of it was like 2 seconds and I blacked out.
No, neither. No, not much rehearsal, not much improv. I wrote it as well, so I'm pretty careful with my words, and the actors respect that. Where places where it didn't work, we would on set very quickly figure it out. But there was no time, and I think, look, even if given time, I don't do rehearsals. I like sort of the immediacy and the spontaneity of just showing up on set, letting actors block, figuring out what they're going to do, having the camera follow that, and then going. I just think there's no replacing that sort of spontaneity. But the restrictions we had, both because of time and money, I think at the time it seemed so daunting, but I think it's why the film is as honest and as strong as it is. Also, the thing with actors like these is, I've done a couple of movies before this, and I've now realized after working with these guys that you only have 4 or 5 takes on a movie of this size, right? So on a bigger movie, it might take you 4 or 5 takes just to get the actor to the place where you thought of when you wrote the scene, and then you've got time to play. On a movie like this, there is no time. So these guys would, on the first take, do exactly what I thought of when I wrote it, and then we'd have 4 takes for them to go and play and contribute and collaborate and bring all the stuff that I never thought of when I wrote it. So straight out of the gate, they do it exactly as I thought, and then they're like, okay, what about this? And then 4 takes later, you've got a scene that's so much richer than what you had written originally. But you can only get that if you work with very good, very professional actors. So I like the constraint. I mean, I don't know if I want to do it again, but I like that.
Okay, well, all that's left to say is to thank you to all of you for coming. Thank you to Icon for this wonderful film. And thank you to these gentlemen, Ben Younger, Ciarán, HINDS, Miles Teller, and Mr. Aaron Eckhart. Thank you.
Thank you.